major part of artificial intelligence or machine learning. But, um, so, in general, what is genetic algorithm? That is a kind of algorithm which helps you to automate your system for any goal. So it includes from training to optimization to output prediction without any manual interference. So it automates the work which you want to achieve. So that is what it is, genetic algorithm. And it is kind of repetitive method, which basically starts from initialization of the problem or population, then assign the fitness or fitness function calculation, selection, reproduction, or you can say production cloning, then more branches, and finally return back to the population which you want to process it again. So in each step, the previous step population is coming for next level of modification or mutation and then optimization. So this could be seen as the very old way of presentation of this genetic algorithm. For example, here a start, initialization, selection, then optimization loop or process, and then crossover and mutation. Finally, after complete optimization or saturation of optimization phase, you go for termination of the process or ending of the process. Then the application of genetic algorithm covers a diverse range. For example, we are concerned mainly in medical science, but it is not the only field where it is applied. It goes to financial market, manufacturing system, mechanical engineering, vehicle routing, traffic system, wireless sensor system, image processing, data mining, neural network, task rescheduling, many more applications are there. If you want to understand the same thing in a simplified step, then you could see the initial population. This is first step. Second step is fetal function. Third, crossover. Fourth, mutation or changes which you want to allow as a kind of selection process. So next is selection process. So here basically you can train your system. This is just very small application of uh, genetic algorithm where we go for mutation. But instead of mutation, you can train your system in the way you want. Then finally, after a number of loops, you can at the stage when you achieve the optimal solution, what you want. And then here, another way of presentation of genetic algorithm is this over here. So this is clear cut picture of genetic algorithm. Now I will be discussing each step one by one. For example, initialization. If we want to go for application of genetic algorithm for the purpose of diseased system, then we could create the cell with the network of genes or proteins. And then the network could be more than the minimum. For example, if there is one cell, but we could apply for more than one cell. And when you are thinking to implement any algorithm, you need to implement larger number of systems. So normally we do not proceed for 5, 6 cells. We could consider 100 cells, 200 cells, 500 cells. The number of cell initial population, if it is higher, it will be better and the outcome will be more stable. And once you create the population, that is initialization. So you declare all the input parameters here, create the population, and then you go for next level, so where you calculate the fitness of each network. And the fitness function could be added based on what you want to achieve. And this could be very simple way of selection pressure, and that is called fitness. And then based on fitness, we could go for selection, and the selection method could be a number of methods. And these are some of the methods which I have mentioned here. And the most common selection method is tournament selection and elite selection. This is elite one is frequently used, and that is what is preferred. But it will, as I'm saying, it will depend on the problem. What kind of problem, what kind of optimization you are looking for. And now the next step is crossover and mutation. So the crossover is just similar to the A chromosome, where you have P and Q region. And then, for example, this is P region, which is 1001, and Q region starts from here. That is 1101000010. Now, this is another part of the measurement. So here, P region is 0011, then Q region is 01010. It is very close to the biological crossover. So in crossover, what happens during the children or evolution of new cells, you could see the crossover. That means P and Q region of the parents, male and female. For example, the parents could be both male and female. So from both of them, the chromosomes are passing, where the chromosome crossover could take place. And similarly, where you have the cells are dividing, then there is crossover. And in crossover, what will happen? P region will shift to another part of chromosome, and Q region will shift. And this you could see clearly here, that this P region is coming from here, but Q region is coming from here. Similarly here, the P region is coming from here, but Q region is coming from here. And now the new chromosome is with this. And here another thing is mutation, which we are going to discuss on another slide. And this is 00 in the original chromosome. But in the new chromosome, it will be 1 will be converted to 0 and 0 is converted to 1. And that is what you could see in mutation. So this is another step of genetic algorithm. And this is very important. And here, mutation, instead of mutation, if you want to train some system, you can apply some other way of changes. Instead of mutation, you can go for some other learning method. If you want to train the system, you can train the system with your own parameters. And this could be here. And then you go for the next part, that is called, after you go for mutation, then you go for final sort listing, that is selection. So the selection will be the best. So because you are, let's say, determination of population fitness, then you select. And then you go for reproduction or preparing the cells from the selected population, then you go for crossover and mutation. Once you have the mutation, then here, because you have applied selection, elite selection is normally 1/3 of the best population, or 1/4 of the best population, or 1/2 of the best population. So that means your population is decreased to half, or 25% or 75%. So you need to create again this mutated network equal to the initial number of population, and that is called cloning the cells. So if you had 200 cells in the beginning of network, then when you apply 25% selection, that means 50 networks are selected here. So what you are doing, crossover and mutation on 50 networks. So the 50 networks needs to be cloned to 200 networks again, so that in each iteration, the number of networks must remain fixed to 200. And this iteration process continues until you reach the optimization stage or saturation stage, and then you go for termination step. So this is the process to end the algorithm when a stopping criteria is met, that is such as maximum number of generation or a satisfactory fitness level. So this is what you generally do, all these steps in genetic algorithm. And this is the final workflow if you want to summarize. Again, this is one way of presenting the algorithm, genetic algorithm. And this is another way of understanding. So if you want to remember or memorize the steps of genetic algorithm or evolutionary algorithm, you can just say the generation of initial population, selection, crossover. So if mutation, evaluation, and termination, the same thing you can see in the depicted diagram here. So let's say initial population, then selection, then crossover and mutation. But when you have evolutionary algorithm, then you don't use this word called cross, and you go for mutation, insertion, and then create a new population equal to the number of initial population. And this new population will be different from this initial population. Again, similarly, so basically what you can say, the next step population is different from the previous step population because you are allowing crossover and mutation or training the model. That is all it about genetic algorithm.